Hi, I'm David Tereshall, and I've been investigating climate change as my sole undertaking for the past 19 years. I'm not a scientist. My approach has been to assess the associated risks, as any business would, or responsible parent for that matter, by conducting thorough and dispassionate due diligence. Let's say in a societal risk assessment framework. One thing I discovered is that there are major differences between that framework and the one used to assess the same risks by the international negotiators. Their framework for assessing the situation, and thus the associated risks, is based entirely on the periodic reports of the IPCC. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at just one issue: the driving force of climate change, temperature increase. There are others. I wonder how many people think that a 2 degrees centigrade, 3.6 Fahrenheit temperature increase would make it a little warmer. After all, the temperature often varies much more day to day. In this case, the increase being considered is the mean or average temperature of the planet, including mountain ranges, the Arctic, the Antarctic, and everything in between. So, what does AI say about a 2 degrees centigrade increase? A 2 degrees centigrade temperature increase is widely considered catastrophic by scientists, as it would trigger a significant number of irreversible and dangerous climate impacts, including widespread sea level rise, extreme weather events, mass species extinction, and the potential collapse of vital ecosystems, making it a critical threshold to avoid exceeding. Bear in mind that AI explores everything available in cyberspace. In short, it would lead directly to a very different world. So perhaps if this increase is put in perspective, that will help to understand the implications. This is the temperature profile of the planet as it emerged from the last ice age to enter the epoch known as the Holocene. Around 8,000 years ago, it stabilised and only varied slightly over plus or minus half a degree until the 20th century. Following the onset of the Industrial Revolution, the temperature eventually started to increase. As you will see on the next slide, the increase by January of 2025 was 1.75 degrees centigrade above the pre-industrial benchmark, and is currently heading unstoppably for a 2 degrees centigrade increase. Although the actual data for the mean temperature of the planet zigs and zags up and down, this non-linear curve betrays the average pattern of increase. In February of 2025, an article was published by the BBC with a graphic stating that the actual temperature increase was 1.75 degrees centigrade. It is important to note this increase was based on averaging data from instrumentation in weather stations located around the entire planet. It was not from climate models. The official temperature increase, or the one currently used by the international negotiators, remains 1.1 degrees centigrade, as specified in the IPCC's AR6 report, published in sections between 2021 and 2022. One should note that recently NASA updated this to 1.2 degrees centigrade. There is a reason. The same weather station data is used by the IPCC, but a regression line or average linear line is calculated over 30 years. This is a standard scientific protocol to ensure natural variability has been accounted for. Scientists are renowned for their thoroughness and exercising caution. One wonders why the international negotiators are not taking this into account. After all, Their objective should be to identify and minimize or eliminate potentially catastrophic risks to society. Which temperature data do you think should be the focus of international negotiators? The actual or reality? Or the official, which is theoretical? But unfortunately, it doesn't end there. Again, in February of 2025, an article was published about a group of international scientists who had added a calculated trend line to the actual data, as any business would in a juxtaposed situation, and projected that a 2 degrees centigrade increase could be breached as early as 2029. So that's the potential timing of initiating the associated catastrophic risks we face. They also stated that one consequence would be up to 1/3 of the planet would be inhospitable for humans due to the resulting heat index. In other words, mass migration and consequential chaos in the adjacent regions would be unavoidable. Are you aware of what those whose education and entire careers were focused on climate change have specified will progressively occur if we breach a 2 degrees centigrade increase? At that, many thousands of those experts, following intense peer reviews, are in total agreement about. Are you aware of the projected impacts to your lifestyle, investments, business if you own one, or where you work, and most of all, your family? And in light of that, who do you want to listen to? The deniers, whose agenda is rather obvious, or the experts? I can assure you that the level of risk is akin to the odds in a cutthroat casino, and one that few, if any, would take in any other circumstance. Astonishingly, that's precisely what we're doing. None of the foregoing is doom and gloom, or the end of the world is nigh speak. It's simply verifiable facts or reality. We can solve this problem, but first it must be defined correctly. So what do you think we should do? Wait and see if many thousands of experts are right and continue on the road to catastrophe, which is now on the horizon, at the behest of those who insist business as usual is perpetuated, or seize the greatest economic opportunity of all time to ensure the planet is hospitable for our species and there is a prosperous and sustainable future for all.